For 50 years, the world has operated on a secret handshake, a deal made in the shadows that dictated the flow of every drop of oil, every cargo ship, and every dollar in your bank account. It was a simple agreement. Saudi Arabia would sell oil exclusively in US dollars, and in exchange, the United States would provide military protection. This was the birth of the petrodollar. It is the reason the US dollar is the world reserve currency. It is the reason America can print trillions of dollars out of thin air without becoming Zimbabwe or Venezuela. It is the invisible engine of American empire. But I am here to tell you that the engine has stalled, the handshake is broken. While you were distracted by political circuses and celebrity scandals, the tectonic plates of the global economy shifted. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and their new allies are quietly building a new financial architecture. They are tired of financial servitude. They are tired of their economies being held hostage by the Federal Reserve. The mainstream media calls this economic diversification. We call it what it really is, a rebellion, a calculated, systematic demolition of US dollar hegemony. When the petrodollar dies, the demand for US dollars evaporates. Trillions of unwanted dollars will flood back to American shores, triggering an inflation tsunami that will make 2022 look like a picnic. This is not a recession. This is a regime change. The clock is ticking. The system is rigged, but this time, it is rigged against the dollar itself. We are witnessing the end of the unipolar moment and the birth of a chaotic, multipolar world. Welcome to the countdown. To understand the magnitude of this collapse, we must first dissect how the system was built. In 1971, Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. The dollar became fiat backed by nothing but faith and credit. To prevent it from becoming worthless, the US engineered the Petrodollar System in 1974. By forcing the world to buy oil in dollars, they created artificial, permanent demand for the US currency. Every nation needed dollars to buy energy. To get dollars, they had to sell goods to the US. And what did they do with their excess dollars? They bought US Treasury bonds. This is the liquidity trap that enslaved the world. It allowed the US to export its inflation to other countries. We got cheap goods and cheap oil. They got our paper IOUs. It was the greatest wealth transfer in history, from the rest of the world to the American consumer. But then, the US got greedy. They weaponized the dollar. Look at what happened to Russia in 2022. The US and Europe seized $300 billion of Russian sovereign assets. Regardless of your stance on the war, the message sent to the global south was chilling. If you disobey Washington, your money is not safe. This was the catalyst. This was the moment the canary in the coal mine stopped singing. China, Saudi Arabia, and the global south realized that holding US dollars was a national security risk. They began to aggressively de-dollarize. China and Saudi Arabia are now trading oil in yuan. India is buying Russian oil in rupees and dirhams. Central banks worldwide are buying gold at a record pace, the fastest rate since 1967. Why are they buying gold? Because gold is trustless. It has no counterparty risk. It cannot be frozen by a sanction. The BRICS alliance is no longer just a talk shop. It is an economic battering ram. With the addition of new members like Iran, the UAE, and Egypt, BRICS now controls a massive percentage of the world's oil production and population. They are building an alternative payment system to bypass SWIFT. They are effectively creating a shadow economy that does not need the US dollar to function. As this shadow economy grows, the demand for US Treasury bonds collapses. We are already seeing this. China is dumping US debt. Japan is selling US debt. Who is left to buy the debt? Only the Federal Reserve. This leads us back to the debt treadmill. The US government needs to borrow to fund its deficit. If foreigners stop buying the debt, the Fed must print the money to buy it. This is monetization. This leads to the debasement of the currency. The petrodollar was the dam holding back the floodwaters of inflation. That dam is cracking. When it bursts, the purchasing power of the dollar will not just slowly erode, it will plunge. The standard of living in the West, which was subsidized by this exorbitant privilege, will revert to the mean. The system is failing because trust is failing. Money is ultimately a ledger of trust, and the world no longer trusts the United States. The petrodollar is dying. A new order is emerging. In this transition period, volatility is guaranteed. So, what is the day zero plan? How do you protect yourself when the global reserve currency loses its crown? We must look at what the central banks are doing, not what they are saying. They are preparing for a world where paper money is secondary to real assets. Step 1. Embrace the neutral reserves. In a multipolar world where East and West are in economic conflict, the only safe assets are those that belong to no one. Gold is the king of neutral assets. It is the tier 1 capital of central banks. As nations dump dollars, they will rotate into gold to settle trade imbalances. We are likely moving toward a system where oil is priced in a basket of currencies or directly referenced to gold. You must have physical exposure to gold. It is your shield against the loss of sovereign privilege. Step 2. The digital gold standard. This is where Bitcoin becomes the most important asset of the 21st century. Bitcoin is digital, neutral, censorship-resistant energy money. Think about it. If Saudi Arabia sells oil to China, they might not want yuan. China doesn't want dollars. Sending physical gold is slow and expensive. Bitcoin solves the settlement problem. It is the only asset that can settle billions of dollars of value in minutes, without a middleman and without permission from the US Treasury. As the debt bubble pops and fiat currencies race to the bottom, Bitcoin acts as the lifeboat. It is the only exit from the system that is mathematically protected from debasement. Institutional adoption is just the beginning. Nation-state adoption is the endgame. Step 3. Energy is the new currency. The petrodollar was about energy. The next system will also be about energy. Invest in the producers. Look for companies and ETFs that focus on energy production, oil, natural gas, uranium. In an inflationary world, commodities are king. The paper economy, tech stocks, services will suffer as capital costs rise. But the physical economy, energy, food, materials, will reprice upwards in devalued dollars. Step 4. Geopolitical arbitrage. Understanding that the US dollar's decline will hit the US domestic economy the hardest. The cost of imports will skyrocket. Supply chains will break. If you have the means, diversify your jurisdiction. Do not have 100% of your life tied to a single country's economy, especially one that is losing its reserve status. Look at emerging markets that are commodity-rich and friendly to the new BRICS order. They may outperform the G7 nations in the next decade. Step 5. Prepare for capital controls. When a currency collapses, governments panic. They will try to lock the exits. They will implement capital controls to prevent you from moving your money out of the country or into other assets. This is why self-custody is non-negotiable. If you hold Bitcoin on an exchange, you don't own it. If you hold gold in a bank vault, you don't own it. You must hold the keys. You must hold the metal. Possession is 9/10 of the law in a crisis. History is littered with the corpses of reserve currencies. The Dutch guilder, the Spanish real, the British pound sterling. Each one dominated the world for roughly 80 to 100 years. Each one collapsed under the weight of debt and imperial overreach. The US dollar is not immune to the laws of history. It is at the end of its cycle. The death of the petrodollar is not a conspiracy theory. It is a geopolitical reality happening in real time. The headlines are there if you look past the distractions. Saudi Arabia joining BRICS, China settling LNG trades in yuan, central banks hoarding gold. The Matrix wants you to believe that the status quo is permanent. They want you to stay asleep, holding on to paper promises while they accumulate hard assets. When the dollar loses its status, the impact on the average citizen will be brutal. Higher prices, lower wages, social unrest. The American dream was built on cheap credit and global dominance. That era is over. You have been warned. The clock has struck midnight. The transition has begun. Do not be the last one holding the bag. Secure your wealth, educate your family, join our community, subscribe to Day Zero. We are tracking the collapse so you don't have to go down with the ship. This is the end of the dollar standard and the beginning of something much harder. I'll see you on the other side.